So I'm sitting with Chris Bull just now from the Dunfermline Building Society. He's taking part in the D to the D challenge. I see a lot of publicity relating to this challenge, but I don't really know what it is. Chris, can you tell us what it's all about, please?
The challenge is we're taking 9 riders riding from Derby to Dunfermline over a 6-day period. Mixed abilities, riding experience, but we're all up for the cause and the challenge. It is going to take us 6 days, as I mentioned. 315 miles we'll be covering through some various challenging terrain, and the principal objective is to raise £100,000 for motor neurons disease.
Who is all involved in this challenge?
Well, there's myself and the 8 other colleagues who do the same role for myself within the regional brands of Nationwide. So my colleague Billy Smith from the west of Scotland will be riding, and then 7 other colleagues from the English branch, the Derbyshire and the Cheshire Building Society. And finally, we have one banner name. We have Geraint Jones, who is the English wicket keeper in the last time England retained the Ashes on British soil.
Why have you decided on a cycle challenge?
Yeah, the decision to do cycling was taken, I think, largely because of the accessibility. As I said, we've got mixed levels of ability and fitness within the group, and it's something we can all do. And with, but with a fair amount of training, it's an event that's accessible to, all levels of age and ability. In addition, cycling seems like a natural thing for 315 miles. Thank goodness it's not running or walking. But one of the reasons we're cycling from the Derby to the Dunfermline, it's a journey we've all been on ourselves as colleagues, because the Derbyshire brand was the first one to join Nationwide Building Society, follow closely with a merger with the Cheshire, where we will be visiting, and then finally the Dunfermline Building Society joined the Nationwide group in April of 2009. So in effect, we as colleagues have been on a journey, metaphorically speaking, from Derby to Dunfermline. So we're doing the physical journey from Derby via the Cheshire Building Society to the Dunfermline Building Society.
What kind of preparations are the participants making just now?
Really mixed. There's a lot of amusing banter going back and forward between the various guys and girls training for the event. Obviously at the weekend, a lot of us are getting out and doing some road biking in training and preparation, taking in 30, 40 miles. We're really pushing ourselves, stretching, our limits and taking ourselves out of the comfort zone. But it's in a good cause. There have been a few wet weekends when we've had a moan, a few equipment faults, but we keep reminding ourselves why we're doing it. The training's taking all forms. My friend Billy over in the west of Scotland, he's got an exercise bike in his lounge and he's training several nights a week. I've been at the public gym up on the Dullock Park, and I've had some of the guys I work with down at the Eastport branch of Dunfermline, Brian, Glenn and Chris. They've been up training and supporting, chivvying me along in various different forms. So it's really good. We're starting to feel some of the fitness benefits as well, personally, from the training we've been doing.
You mentioned earlier on the cricket player, the English cricket player who's taking part. I don't have a clue about English cricket, I have to admit. How did you manage to get him on board?
One thing I should point out, because otherwise he will lynch me, is I think he's a proud Welsh patriot. But for some reason they play under the banner of English cricket. But the name Geraint Jones leads me to believe he's comes from South Wales. How did we get him on board? I know that we have a strong link through Stuart Broad, the cricketer, who currently is representing England over in the World Cup in India. He's had some involvement with ourselves, and I believe he has a lot of involvement with the charity. So I imagine it would be through that network and that connection.
Radio West Fife.
Chris, was there any particular reason why you chose to fundraise for motor neuron disease?
It's one of those charities that perhaps doesn't get the publicity. It's a smaller charity, but we really believe the input we make, the 100,000 we're going to attempt to raise, or I believe we will raise, is really going to be high impact, and it's going to be spent locally. Every penny we raise will remain within Scotland and help support families, improving people's living conditions, such as a stair lift in a home. It's really enabling people who are living with the condition to remain in their family residence for a longer period of time before they have to go into care.
I knew very little about motor neuron disease myself, and I've spoken to a lot of people who always come out with a tale of somebody they know who's had motor neuron disease, has motor neuron disease. Indeed, I learned last night that my great uncle had died from motor neuron disease many years ago, and it seems like something, like you say, not many people have heard about.
I think it's something that goes under the radar, as I said, and that's one of the reasons we've selected it as a charity. And again, like you, a lot of the colleagues I work with in the branches, up and down the east of Scotland, have come back and told similar tales to yourself, people they know who are living with the condition of motor neuron disease.
Back to the actual D to the D cycle race, tell us about your schedule and the type of terrain it's going to cover.
The type of terrain, I read a brief ad the other day, it said undulating. And I said, what does that mean in English? Apparently it means very hilly. We are travelling 315 miles, but we start out in Derby and we're crossing the Peak District to Macclesfield on day number 1. Day number 2, we're going through the centre of Manchester, which will be a little busy, slightly different terrains and challenges in the urban environment, finishing up just south of the Lake District. Day number 3, we're taking on the Lake District with its hills and valleys, spending the night in Penrith. And then day number 4, we cross the border into the southern Scotland. Billy and I are quite looking forward to that. We're spending the evening in Moffat. Then day number 5, we're travelling Moffat to Motherwell, spending the night there, and then going over the terrain from Motherwell into Edinburgh. And we're actually now in the privileged position of crossing the Forth Road Bridge, which is quite an incentive for me. It's an impressive landmark. Being new to the area, I still get hairs stand up on the back of my neck when I cross there. But the train, it's going to be challenging, and that's perhaps one of the reasons we've selected this route. You know, it's we want something, you know, to push our boundaries. We've got no plans to get off and push, but who knows, it might happen on day number 5.
Very, very ambitious. Best of luck with that. I've cycled some of that terrain, and it can be hard going at times. You mentioned you're looking to raise around about £100,000. Where is that money coming from? Who's helping to contribute to that?
Everyone, but really it's down to the colleagues that work in the branches for the regional brands, and particularly in Scotland in the Dunfermline Building Society. We've been really, and I don't use the word lightly, humbled by the amount of effort our colleagues and their families have put in. There have been activities in the branches. We've had book sales, coffee mornings, cake sales. You know, that's some of the more obvious stuff. In addition, we've had some tremendous generosity shown by our customers, taking in tombola prizes to various branches. We've had people who have been winning prizes and putting it back into the pot, you know, to increase the amounts of prizes we can give away for the tombolas. But as I say, it's about people's families, it's about the customer involvement, because while the time sacrifice is being made by colleagues, it's ultimately the monetary sacrifice is being made by our customers. You know, we're getting behind these events, attending the quiz nights, giving prizes.
The actual challenge itself, when is that actually taking place?
It's just over 5 to 6 weeks' time. Starts on the Thursday, the 14th of April. We'll be leaving Derby County Football Club, Pride Park. Some of the players are turning out to see us off, and it's taken 6 days. So Wednesday we arrive in Dunfermline, and we're finishing the event at Caledonia House, and that's going to be quite a big day. The turnout, I believe, is going to be high. We're going to have a lot of colleagues and customers there to sort of cheer us in and share with us the achievement that we've all done. Because, as I say, there's only 9 riders, but there's hundreds of colleagues in branches and customers, as I said, who have got behind the event. The ride, in effect, is the pinnacle of everyone's efforts in the fundraising campaign.
What's the long-term weather forecast like for these days?
Well, it's funny you mention weather, because some of the guys I've been speaking to at the weekend and girls doing their training have been saying, I didn't train on Saturday, it was raining. And I've had to point out that there is a chance that we'll be experiencing a few April showers. In fact, as we come over the Shap Summit, which I believe is the wettest part in the British Isles, we're bound to get some rain up there. So the weather's going to take its toll, but we've got the right kit. And I think that's the important thing. If we've got the right kit, you know, and we're fit enough, it's not going to prevent any challenges.
You mentioned the race is going to terminate at Caledonia House. Whereabouts is that?
Caledonia House, it's on the outskirts of Dunfermline. It's the head office for the Dunfermline Building Society. It's quite a visually stunning building, glass building on the edge of the town. A lot of people know where it is. It's quite a local landmark. But for people not in the area, it's in between Rosyth and Dunfermline.
If people are interested in finding out more, or maybe even helping out, making a donation, how do they go about doing that?
Best route is to go into one of your local branches. All of the local branches are behind this, attempting to fundraise through various means. There is the opportunity at the branches to sponsor, but also there's the opportunity to contribute by, you know, entering some of the raffles we've got going or some of the fun evening events.
Some of the patients in the hospital aren't out and about just now. Is there any way they can help?
We are now, I believe, with modern technology, we are on Twitter and on Facebook. We are in the process of getting sponsorship for the ride passed through justgiving.org.
On Channel 1 for the Queen Margaret Hospital,
Radio West Fife.
in your community.
Gary Peaty.
Barclay Mack,
David Fortune.
Matthew Hanson,
Rick Bell.
Brian,
Ian and Hez.
on Channel 1, your number 1.
Radio West Fife.
As I say, we're concluding at the Caledonia House site on the Wednesday, 6 days after starting, Wednesday the 20th of April. Quite a big day planned. I know we've got lots of exciting activities, big turnout expected from colleagues and customers alike. I just want to mention though, Dave, you did use the word race, the cycle race. We are trying to keep our competitive natures subdued, and one of the reasons I'm keen not for it to be a race is because as we now have a professional sportsman joining us, I think second place would be best I could aim for anyway.
Chris, thanks for taking the time to talk to Radio West Fife this afternoon. All the best, and of course we'll see you at the race night at Somewhere Else Pub.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. I can't get hold of the DVD for the results beforehand, no matter how hard I try. But going to be a great event, as you said, Somewhere Else. It's going to be a terrific night.
Dunfermline Building Society has teamed up with Motor Neurone Disease Scotland. They will be holding a fundraising race day at Somewhere Else Bar on Sunday the 27th of March. The fun starts at 4 with the first race at past. Entry is free, a buffet is provided as well. And after the races, you can join in with Albo and Wink's open mic night. That's Motor Neurone Disease Scotland's race day and open mic night on Sunday the 27th of March, 4 p.m. at Somewhere Else Bar, Guildhall Street, Dunfermline. To find out more, find us on Facebook or call David on 07900 590 911.